to know enough. Too old to play the part, too cool for showing up. Too dumb to say what's smart, so I'm a substitute waiting for the game to start. But I ain't trying to get played like change your heart. And may I park and find me another ride. I'm letting Florence tell you how I feel inside.
So I just decided to make this video probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. And it has to do with the topic of artificial intelligence. That's like all anybody talks about in 2025. And it's going to be a prominent thing for a long time. But the question that usually comes up when people start really wanting to pontificate and express what they think it's going to be like, one of the main things they always say is, well, what if it becomes conscious? What if it, gains consciousness? And I really don't know what they mean by that. Do they mean just like it's like a self-referential, like I know that I'm me, or do they like it knows that it's something? But as far as being able to prove it, whether or not it's conscious or not, will never happen. And I'll try to explain why. So, why we ask the question like, will AI ever become conscious? Why don't we ask that to ourselves first? Like we still haven't solved that problem from our end. Like there's no way you can prove human consciousness exists. So why do we think we would be able to do that with artificial intelligence? And this may sound obscure, but let me just explain. Like, so there's no way for me to prove that I'm a conscious entity while conscious. So there's nothing that I can do to prove to anyone. There's no examples that I can give you to prove that consciousness exists while in a state of consciousness. So an example would be like one fish trying to explain to another fish what water is. That's illogical. It's circular, self-refuting. So someone might say, well, you could set up a camera. I've heard people say this. You could set up a camera, and then when you're asleep, they can uh, show your footage to you, of you sleeping there, and that would prove that, consciousness exists outside of yourself. No, because the only way that I could view the material, the actual footage, is when I become conscious again, when I wake up. So the only way that I could view the footage that you're giving me, even you handing it to me, the only way that I could look at that is when I'm conscious. So, and Thomas Nagel points this out in his paper, What is it like to be a bat? So every person has their own subjective point of view. I cannot enter into you and know what it's like to be you from your own subjective vantage point. And he, talks about, what it's like to be a bat. Like they have like echo location sonar, whatever it is they use. Like I can't know what it would be like to be a bat. I could, view the scientific data and see what it's doing. I can see what's happening, but as far as experiencing batness, I cannot do that. And we'll never be able to do that. So saying like, well, will AI become conscious? Will it have consciousness? It's not a solvable thing. We haven't even solved it for humans. How are we ever going to be able to solve it for AI? It may have a notion of what it is, but again, that doesn't prove anything. It can't be proven. I don't think consciousness can ever be proven because it's based on your own subjective experience. How can you jump outside of your subjectivity and view consciousness? You would have to be conscious to do that. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of stuff I've just thrown out, and you may not understand that. I don't even understand it, to be honest. But yeah, there's no objective way we can prove consciousness exists outside of consciousness. So in other words, if I have a circle, I cannot prove anything exists within that circle without a point of reference outside of it. So in other words, if I'm going to prove to another fish what water is, I would have to be outside the water to do that, and I can't do that. You can't do that. It's impossible. I don't know. These are just my thoughts. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, cool. If you didn't, well, maybe you'll like the next one.